American dining is slowly dying. Once the kings of the table, these names are now on life support. From IHOP breakfast to Taco Bell lunches, an entire generation of restaurants is fading away, and no one can save them. In today's video, you'll see the list of 15 brands in free fall and the reasons why the entire American food industry is on the brink of collapse. 1. Bertucci's, the brick oven pizza icon. That went cold. Once the go-to choice for cozy dinners, famous for its fragrant brick oven pizzas and crispy Italian bread, dipped in signature olive oil, Bertucci's offered a European-style space that became a memory for many middle-class Americans. But by April 2025, the brand filed for bankruptcy for the third time, shuttering 5 more locations, including the original Rhode Island restaurant that once symbolized its beginnings. The problem wasn't the food, but the business model itself. In an era of delivery services, streamlined menus, and instant convenience, sitting down to enjoy a traditional Italian meal is no longer a mainstream need. Bertucci's, with its slow dining vibe, full-service model, and spacious layout, felt heavy, costly, and outdated against new consumer habits. They're now pivoting with a new concept called Bertucci's Pronto, a fast-casual Italian-style counter service. But in a market already crowded with names like Domino's, Chipotle, and Panera, the brand's survival odds resemble a cold oven. The shape remains, but the heat is gone. Is pizza better eaten on-site or delivered? Are we saving time or losing experience? 2. Red Lobster, when the dream of affordable seafood shattered. Red Lobster was once a weekend treat for working-class American families, a place to enjoy lobster, free Cheddar Bay biscuits, and seafood buffets without stepping into a luxury restaurant. But amid soaring seafood prices and inflation squeezing wallets, the promise of affordable indulgence has crumbled. With input costs rising sharply while real incomes fail to keep up, Red Lobster became a non-essential option. Customers withdrew, revenues plunged, and branches quietly closed. No fanfare, no headlines. Behind the collapse are thousands of lost jobs, from chefs to servers, managers to logistics staff. For many, this wasn't just employment. It was rare stability in an unpredictable society. When Red Lobster fell, what was lost wasn't just a meal, but a small dream of attainable prosperity. 3. Subway's downfall, eroded trust and sluggish innovation. Once the world's largest restaurant chain by number of locations, Subway embodied a modern lifestyle. Known for its customizable sub sandwiches, a symbol of fast yet somewhat healthy eating. But by 2025, they had closed more than 4,000 stores in just 5 years, a steep and seemingly endless decline. Why? Subway lagged in the race to evolve. Its menu became repetitive, its ingredients lost consumer trust, and a string of management and hygiene scandals heavily damaged its image. Meanwhile, competitors like Jersey Mike's and Panera Bread quickly embraced trends: meal personalization, digital experiences, and a focus on food quality. One bitter online comment summed it up. Subway is like a pilotless Titanic. They don't know where they're going and don't even realize they're sinking. Subway isn't just losing customers, it's losing direction in a world where speed must come with innovation. 4th, Hooters out of sync with a new era. A great closure wave. 15 restaurant chains about to disappear wouldn't be complete without mentioning Hooters. A brand once controversial but wildly successful in the 1990s and early 2000s, known for its spicy buffalo wings, cold beer, and a sports party vibe. Its marketing strategy, based on the sensual image of female staff in tight uniforms, once attracted a generation of male customers. But by 2025, that image is no longer an asset. It has become a barrier in a society increasingly valuing safety, equality, and respect in public spaces. Gen Z, the new consumer generation, no longer feels comfortable with this model. They call Hooters outdated, unfriendly to women, and lacking inclusiveness. The male customer base declined sharply while family and female customers nearly disappeared. Competitors like Twin Peaks have adapted fast, from staff uniforms to space design and especially food quality. Everything has been modernized to keep up with the times. Meanwhile, Hooters clings to its old image, and that stubbornness is dragging it out of step with new consumer trends, where sensuality is no longer the main course but a dated story left behind. 5. Red Robin faces the biggest closure wave in its history. Red Robin was once loved for its handcrafted burgers and bottomless fries. Eat till you're full. But as people began counting every dollar for a meal, this model became less viable. In the final quarter of 2024, Red Robin reported a loss nearing $40 million, forcing the company to consider closing up to 70 locations nationwide. This isn't just a financial issue, but a sign that the traditional family dining market is in deep crisis. The model requires large spaces, a big workforce, while ingredient prices and operational costs keep surging uncontrollably. Although Red Robin's leadership is working to redefine the customer experience and streamline operations, the wave of closures is a clear warning. Even a friendly and pleasant brand cannot survive without fast, adaptive change. 6. Salt Bae, Nusret collapses. When sprinkling salt stops being classy. The image of Nusret Gökçe, aka Salt Bae, sprinkling salt with a dancer's flair in front of superstars like Messi, Pogba, or David Beckham, once stunned the world. He didn't just serve gold-covered tomahawk steaks, he served the illusion of status, power, and flashy wealth. His restaurants became hotspots for the elite, where dining was less about eating and more about being seen. But as America entered its highest inflation era in decades, with families forced to choose between filling the gas tank or buying dinner, Salt Bae was no longer a charming phenomenon, but a symbol of social disconnect. To many, paying thousands of dollars to watch someone slice meat while working-class people struggle with rent wasn't an experience, but a provocation. His controversial appearance at the 2022 World Cup, crashing the trophy ceremony to pose with Messi, was the last straw. Admiration turned into backlash. A man once seen as the Eastern European dream turned millionaire through showmanship, now symbolized empty luxury in a world full of turmoil and inequality. Sales at his U.S. branches have clearly dropped. Many locations had to trim menus, cut staff, or shut down quietly. In a society questioning its glitzy yet unfair consumer systems, Salt Bae became a casualty, not because of the food, but for standing on the wrong side of the class divide. 7. Applebee's out of step in the age of selective Gen Z diners. Applebee's used to represent the middle-class dining segment in America. Not too expensive, not too cheap, perfect for simple dates, family dinners, or coworker gatherings. But the model of temporary meals that aren't cheap, experiences that aren't memorable, is gradually being phased out. Young people today either save money by eating at home, cooking or ordering through apps, or splurge on premium, unique dining experiences. To them, Applebee's is simply not attractive enough to spend on. From outdated decor, a barely changing menu, to a middle-of-the-road atmosphere, none of it fits the modern lifestyle. As a result, customer traffic has plummeted, and many branches have had to close. Applebee's is becoming a textbook case of losing customers for not knowing who they are in a society changing too fast. 8. TGI Fridays is over, when Friday stops being exciting. Once a symbol of thank God it's Friday energy, TGI Fridays was synonymous with laughter, cold beer, flavorful dishes, and lively gatherings. With a vibrant vibe and the famous slogan, "In here, it's always Friday," they were once a go-to spot for millions of Americans wrapping up the work week. But as consumer habits evolved, TGI Fridays began losing its way. The menu stayed stagnant, prices lost their edge, while new generations flocked to fusion eateries, fast casual models, and visually appealing social media-friendly spaces. What once made Fridays unique, like its energetic service and American-style interior, now act as barriers for youth who prefer minimalism, personalization, and novelty. Despite efforts to update with vegetarian options, healthier menus, and space redesigns, slow and shallow innovation has left TGI Fridays behind. In a market where brands must constantly reinvent to survive, TGI Fridays feels like an old man refusing to retire, clinging to the past, no longer fit for the present. 9. Is Cheesecake Factory no longer a place to celebrate? The Cheesecake Factory used to be the perfect spot for dates, anniversaries, and celebrations for the middle class. It was famous for its massive menu, upscale cheesecakes, and old-school luxury feel. But today, what were once strengths have become burdens. High prices, outdated ambiance, and an overwhelming menu make customers, especially the younger crowd, feel drained. They're no longer excited to sit in a heavy-looking restaurant, read through 20 pages to order, and wait 30 minutes to eat. Meanwhile, faster, healthier, more aesthetic options like Sweet Green, Shake Shack, or even food trucks are on the rise. Though Cheesecake Factory still retains a loyal customer base, without a model overhaul, it risks becoming a living museum in American dining. A place you visit once out of curiosity, then never return to. 10. Jack in the Box to close 200 stores. Why are customers leaving? As one of the long-standing icons of American fast food, Jack in the Box was known for its diverse menu, reasonable prices, and flexible service style. However, entering 2025, the chain is preparing to shut down up to 200 locations nationwide due to falling revenue and mounting debt pressure. Despite efforts to invest in online ordering systems and streamline operations, Jack in the Box's restructuring strategy revolves mostly around shrinking to survive. In an increasingly competitive fast food market with names like Chick-fil-A, Raising Cane's, and Shake Shack, an outdated model and a bland brand identity have left Jack lagging behind. Mass closures are not just a temporary fix, they're a warning to the entire industry. Speed alone isn't enough. Uniqueness is also essential. 11th. Denny's is disappearing when old-school breakfast no longer fits. Once called the home of 24/7 breakfast, Denny's was an irreplaceable part of classic American memories. With pancakes, sausages, sunny-side-up eggs, and hot coffee, they served day and night for late-shift workers, long-haul truckers, or Sunday family mornings. But in 2025, Denny's plans to shut down up to 150 restaurants, a number too significant for a brand once deemed too iconic to lose. The cause isn't just soaring ingredient costs or inflation's impact. The core issue is shifting consumer behavior. Gen Z and millennials are redefining breakfast. Faster, healthier, less sit down. In their eyes, Denny's is now time-consuming, visually dull, and out of sync with today's fast-paced lifestyle. Although the brand has launched promotions, added low-calorie choices, and revamped interiors, it all feels more like nostalgic tweaking than real reform. And in a market where innovation speed is survival, Denny's faces a bitter paradox. What once made them special, being steady, slow, and classic, is now the very thing holding them back. 12th, Noodles Company is fading, too safe to stand out. Founded with the ambition to redefine fast food through freshness, craft, and global reach, Noodles Company once attracted fans of pasta, Phao, pad thai, and a fusion of Asian European flavors. But by 2025, the chain is being forced to close 17 to 21 locations as rising costs outpace what its current model can handle. While they introduced a new menu, low-carb, veggie-rich, and more low-calorie options, today's F&B market demands more than health. It needs identity, speed, and trend-setting power. In a world where food must be edible, photogenic, and shareable, Noodles Company is not fast enough to be fast food, not bold enough to feel unique, and not cheap enough to scale widely. This brand is stuck in what's called the gray zone of American dining, where the neutral, the safe, and the undefined quietly vanish. They're not failing from incompetence, but from blandness in a time that demands extreme brand identity. 13. IHOP feels outdated when pancakes are no longer the first choice. With buttery aromas, sweet syrup, and stacks of warm pancakes, IHOP was once a family breakfast staple across America on Sunday mornings. But as newer consumers turn their backs on sugar, carbs, and traditional American breakfasts, this long-standing chain is facing an unprecedented slump. Instead of sitting down for large portions, younger diners now opt for quick, low-cal, nutrient-rich breakfasts like oats, plant-based protein, almond milk, or smoothie bowls. Meanwhile, IHOP's table service model is cost-heavy, labor-intensive, space-demanding, and no longer matches today's fast lifestyle. Though IHOP still holds on to a loyal crowd, especially seniors and rural customers, its steady revenue decline, along with rising operational costs, is pushing the brand to a critical fork in the road. Either overhaul entirely or become a beautiful but outdated memory in American dining. 14. Olive Garden, from family dinners to a question mark of our time. Olive Garden was once the go-to for American-style family meals, where people gathered over pasta, hot soup, unlimited salad, and garlic butter breadsticks. The cozy vibe and slogan, "When you're here, you're family," resonated with millions of Americans through the 90s and 2000s. But in 2025, Olive Garden is struggling to hold on to customers in an era where dining out means more than just eating. It's about experience, aesthetics, and shareability. Outdated interiors, a static menu, and old-school table service have made this brand feel clunky and unappealing to Gen Z, the generation shaping global F&B trends. Though it hasn't declared bankruptcy or mass closures, Olive Garden is quietly scaling back in many states, especially suburban and rural areas. While competitors like Maggiano's and Carrabba's have modernized, Olive Garden has stayed stagnant and risked becoming a restaurant of the previous generation, remembered but rarely revisited. 15. Taco Bell feels outdated when getting full is no longer enough. Taco Bell was once a savior for students, low-income workers, and late-night eaters, a place where you could fill up for just a few bucks. But with public awareness of health surging, low prices are no longer a strength. They're a red flag if not paired with quality. While rivals like Chipotle, Chick-fil-A, and Shake Shack have swiftly rebranded with clean label menus, fresh ingredients, and eat healthy marketing, Taco Bell has lagged behind in the reform race. Though it still wins on price, the brand no longer appeals to modern consumers, those who eat not just to be full, but to be fit, beautiful, and post-worthy. With a reputation tied to salty, greasy, oversized portions, Taco Bell is drifting further from current tastes, especially among Gen Z, the group defining the F&B future. While it hasn't announced major closures yet, if the brand fails to pivot fast, Taco Bell could become the next icon of outdated fast food, surviving on low prices, but falling behind in a world awakening to smarter choices. The disappearance of these restaurant chains isn't just a business story. It reflects profound shifts in lifestyle, culture, and modern social needs. The biggest shutdown wave ever, 15 restaurant chains about to vanish, is not just a list of names leaving the market, but a wake-up call about a silent shift happening with every consumer choice. As the world changes one meal at a time, what will be the next flavor to survive? This video is for informational purposes only, compiled from public sources, and does not intend to criticize any brand. If you found these insights thought-provoking, subscribe to our channel so you won't miss upcoming videos on economics, society, and the quiet transformations reshaping our world.